Hello and welcome back, guys. My name is Asif Bhatt and you are watching Tech Control with Asif. You guys might be wondering about that starting clip of this video. Well, that's the introduction of my channel, Tech and Travel. That's why you see beautiful tulips and world famous Dell Lake, in between them sandwiched a code editor. Alright, now let's move towards topic, and today again we are going to talk about some basics of Angular, but very important. Today we are going to talk about and work on different forms of ngIf directive. But before that, if you are not on the channel yet, please subscribe now. That really encourages me to present awesome and very helpful content to you guys. Alright then, let's move on. Alright guys, so here I am in Visual Studio Code with a basic Angular application which displays the simple message Angular Basics in the browser. Let's quickly check that here, and it says Angular Basics. Now let's move back to the code and start using different forms of ngIf. And first and foremost is the one that all of us usually, most of the time as we use, that's this one. Let's create a div tag here, and let's display some content. This is simple ngIf content, right? And let's use the directive ngIf asterisk ngIf is equal to, and here we have to have a boolean value, true or false, which will be some expression or a variable. Let's have a variable here, condition, and let's initialize a variable condition here is equal to false. We have a variable, boolean variable condition, which is initially set to false, and we are using this ngIf based on this condition variable. So initially, this div content should not get rendered in the browser. Let's check that quickly. Angular Basics, so div contents are not displaying here because the condition was not met. Let's quickly change it to true. So far, so simple. And the contents will be here, right? Okay, now let's go back to HTML. Oops, here. Another form is using ngIf with ng template, ng-template, ng-template, and this is ngIf within ng template. Now, ng template is an Angular element, but it's not something that's added to the DOM. That means this is not itself rendered in the browser, but the contents within ng template are rendered. However, the contents within ng template are only rendered when we tell Angular where and when to display these contents. So on its own, ng template is not going to display anything out of its content, any of its contents in the browser. So this message will not be displayed in the browser until we tell Angular when and where to display its content. So here we are going to direct Angular through ngIf. That for that we have to use the square brackets ngIf. If the condition is met, all right, then display. Right, and the condition is true, so both the content should display. Yes, perfectly fine. So if I set it to false, nothing will be displayed. Now the results of these two things are same: the ngIf with template, ng template, and simple ngIf with asterisk. Now, why should we use the second form? Let's take an example. Let's say we have an unordered list, UL, with some list of items here. Okay, and another li and li. So first is PC, and the second is, let's say, a ball. This is a bat, and I would like to display this ball and bat only if the category is sports. So this is actually a list of items, and these items belong to some categories. This belongs to electronics category, PC, and these two belong to sports. Let's have a variable quickly here, the category. Initialize it to sports. All right. Let's say if this category is sports only, then we should display these items. Okay, so let's use ngIf is equal to, the condition here will be when category is equal to sports, only then we should be displaying this item. Same for this. Perfect. So if the condition category is sports, only then we have to display these two items. Let's go to the browser now. It displays all of them because we have category as sports. If I, for some reason, change it to SS, see here, only PC is rendered because the condition is not met. Now, if you notice here, in order for this to work as per my logic, I have to use separate ngIf directive for ball and bad item. Let's make it simple with ng template. We can use it like this. Let's get rid of these conditions first. All right. And this as well. So this is simple, again, to its original form. And now we can do one thing. Let's create an ng template here. Here. And the condition will be something different. Let's move the condition for now. We keep it like that. Since these li2 items did not have a common parent, that would control their appearance in one go. We had to have two ngIf directives with asterisk sign. Now we put them inside an ng template. As I said, ng template itself is not rendered in the browser. It's just an Angular element, which is just a wrapper within which we have some content, some DOM content, some HTML snippet within that. So let's say the condition is that category again is equal to sports, only then we should display. Let's the browser. See here, the condition is met, everything is there. Let's change the condition as okay, only PC. The same job as earlier, but with a simple and clean syntax. That was ngIf with ng template. Now let's move to the third part. So third part is ngIf else with an else block. So we tell Angular that if the condition is met, render the contents of that directive where this, of that element where the ngIf is being used. Else, do something different. Render some different contents. So like we have, let's use it with this. So ngIf condition is equal to condition, else we can say else block, but the else block is not here yet. We have to, it should be a reference to some element. Let's use an ng template again. Okay. Template. Let's give it a reference as hash or pound sign else block. So this is else block. Okay, that should work. Else block ng template, and anything wrong there? Ng template. Oops, ng template. ng template. My bad spelling. Okay, ng template. So we are telling Angular that if the condition is true, then render this thing. Otherwise, go to else block. Let's see what happens in the browser. You see here, this is simple ngIf content because condition is true. Let's change to this condition to false. Okay, now the condition is not met here. This is not going to display. Rather, the else block, which is here, should get rendered. All right, this is else block. You see here, this is else block. Why it got rendered before PC? Because we are already directing here that if nothing is happening, then if condition is met, then this else a different context, so it gets displayed here. All right. All right, now let's move to the fourth form of ngIf. So this form is ngIf then else. So if the condition is met, we direct Angular, we tell Angular that what you had to do, what you had to display. So that's specified by then. And if the condition is not met, then we tell Angular to do specify the conditions to take the command given by else block. That's if we have a div here. So let's see ngIf is equal to condition. If condition, then so if the condition is true, what to display there? Then display the DOM element referred by, or the DOM code HTML code snippet referred by this ID, this name. So let's have it as true block. Okay, else false block. Let's quickly have another two an ng template here, ng hyphen template, not mg, it's ng hyphen template. Okay, this is true block, and let's give it id or the reference name true block, and another will be ng. It will be false block. It will be here false block. Let's quickly check the browser. Oops, nothing displayed yet. ngIf. See, it matters here. So be extra careful. This is false block. So if the condition is met, then display render this element, the contents of this ng template, else not this. So condition is false right now. It went here. Let's make that true. This is true. And let's see, this is true block. Perfect. So we have covered so far simple ngIf, then ngIf with the ng template. Another was ngIf else, and this was ngIf then else. So if the condition is met, remember here that even if we have some contents underneath, this is main div. This is not going to be rendered because the ngIf right now is not going to render its hosting element of the DOM element. Rather, it has to point to the true block if the condition is met, which is here, and otherwise to the else block. So in neither of the cases will be this div displayed. Let's check in the browser. You see here, the main div is not appearing here because that's only the deciding element there. Now let's move to the final part. There's a fifth part of ngIf. That is where we store a conditional result in a variable. For example, we have an observable and used with ngIf, and we are subscribing to it based on the results we get. We want to render some messages whether the results are available or not. So how do we do that? Let's go here. So there's something going to look like this. So we have ngIf. Suppose we have an observable in the TypeScript file, which is course observable, and the ngIf and ng-for directives have a ability that the expression can be aliased or named as some variable like we are doing here. If the course variable is here present, then we alias it as course variable, and then we make use of that. So for example, we have a service which is providing us list of courses, and we are listening to that course, and we are subscribing to that observable list of courses. Based on whether the course is available there or not, the result is there or not, we want to display. Until the results are displayed, we want to display this message to the user, loading user info or loading course details, something like that. So let's quickly create a service and then have a observable, but I'm not going to do that here. Let me pause this video for a moment, and I'm quickly going to create that service with the data, with some dummy data, and then I'm going to take you through all the details line by line. Let me pause it here. So I'm back here. What I have done so far is that I created a model for a course which defines an interface with ID, name, and description of the course. And I have a service here which is here under services folder, course.services. It's just simply an array of courses there, ID, name, and description. I have two courses, computer science and electronics. All right, nothing else there. Now what I'm doing here, I'm using the fifth form of our ngIf with the, storing the variable expression as a variable here. I'm saying that I declare a course observable here, which is course object observable of course, because I'm calling a service here. And I'm telling Angular that if the course object is available, the observable, the data is available with this, then, which is because which is an asynchronous call, the subscribe. If the data is available here, then I'm declaring this as a variable course. Then I want to access the details of the course description. If the course object doesn't have any data, that means we did not get the data from the service yet. I want to display this message loading course detail to the user. All right, so I have the course observable here, and in the ng on init, I'm just loading the electronics course. This does get electronics, which is here, the get electronics. I simply make this with this off operator, I make it observable that from the list of this service.courses, I'm injecting the service here, the course service. Then from the course service list of courses, I'm getting the one. You see here inside the pipe, I've used a map transposition for results. That's a second item starting from the 0 index. It's a second item, which is electronics. If you go to the courses list, first is computer science and then electronics. So I'm telling it to get me the second course, which is electronics, at index 1. If I have to use computer science, I can simply go here, pipe dot filter or cd dot this. I can simply this is the alternate way here. I can simply do the same thing here, filter where id is equal to 2, but I just created here two alternative ways, either to use a filter and pass id, or to simply map here, use a map operator here to get the result of the second course. All right, so this is my second course getting here, electronics. So let's give it a try. I should get electronics course. All right, let's go to the browser. This course is about electronics. Now, even if I change to, let's say, to the computer science, let's call here this dot get computer science, right? Okay. So this is the computer science. Let's go back. However, in both the cases, we got the message that this course is about basics of electronics or basics of computer science. We did not get to test this one, but when we are calling APIs, there will be some delay, there will be some lag while we are making the call, and in the time between making the call and getting the data back, there will be some lag. So this message is going to display there to the user. But right now, what we can do, we can go here. We can use the delay function. Let's delay it for 4 seconds. All right. Let's say the call, while calling the course service here, until we get the data from the core service, there's some delay of 4 seconds in the API call. Let's go back. Let's hit it again. You see here initially, let me increase the time here. Let's say it's 5 seconds delay. Watch here. The loading course detail and the course detail is here. All right, so it just displayed that loading log for us. So that was some important tidbits about using ngIf form.